So I'm going to take my size 12 Winsor & Newton round brush now. I'm just going to dip this into clean water and I'm going to just paint the water inside the butterfly, just to wet the inside of the butterfly. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to do some wet on wet techniques within the butterfly's wings. So I don't want to go outside the butterfly, although I will be doing some splatters and bringing some paint outside the butterfly's wings. And I'm just going to work on one side of the butterfly at a time. I'm also going to take it onto the body of the butterfly as well. And I want to start with going in with a very light sort of green colour, and I'm just kind of tapping that colour on the edges of the butterfly's wings and just allowing that paint to disperse and do whatever it really wants to within the water. And as you can see, I'm allowing some of that paint to seep onto the body of the butterfly because I want it to be a bit blended in. If you can hear any noise in the background, it's because my son Finley, he's playing with his friend on his computer. I'm also going to take some cerulean blue and I'm just going to pop that within the wings, and I'm just going to allow it to seep into the green, sorry. I've also got this lovely turquoise colour that I just mixed using blue and green. And as you can see, I'm literally just tapping that colour in there. Don't carry on if you can see that your paper is drying, because you're not going to get that lovely blended effect. I'm also going to take some of this gorgeous permanent rose and I'm just tapping that in as well. Some gorgeous dark blue on the corners of the butterfly, on the very edge of that wing. I'm going to use some of my Purple Lake, which is probably my favourite colour in this palette. So I wanted to leave some white in the butterfly as well, just to add a bit more interest. So just adding that gorgeous turquoise colour again. I'm going to add in some very bright pink on the very corner here. On this corner, I want it to be a nice gorgeous blob of colour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse off my brush, so I've got a completely clean brush, but it's still wet. And I'm just going to touch the edge of that colour and just let it bleed out into the clean water. I want it to bleed out a little bit more and just bring it down. I'm pretty much just making this up as I go along. So just have fun with it, experiment with the colours, use your favourite colours. That's what I tend to do. I'm going to splatter some splatters on there as well. And then I think I'm going to go with a really nice bright yellow. So I'm just using cadmium yellow and I'm going to bring that onto the edge of this bit here. I don't know what that's called, but I'll just call it the edge. Drop a little bit of orange in there as well. So I'm just using a bit of cadmium orange and I'm just using that on the very edge. I'm also going to be taking my clean water and just going to bring some of these edges down as well, because I really want to create such an interesting effect. I'm going to be taking some to the top here as well, and I'm just going to rinse it off a bit more. I really want to kind of blend that colour out and make it look very washed out, kind of like the colour is bleeding out onto the paper. So as you can see, I'm just dropping the pigment on the outside of the wing. I want it to be very, very pigmented on the outer edge of the wing. I'm going to use a tiny bit of purple in this corner. And then I'm going to use some of that permanent rose, which is gorgeous and vibrant and very, what you call it, like neon, I think. But I love it. I also want to pop a little bit of dark purple on the outer edge here. And I also want to put some here too. So once you've put your first little bit down, you can also go in and add more pigment to it, so it's more pigmented. I'm also going to add yellow here again. And rinsing off my brush, I'm just going to bring that down a little bit. And just let the colour bleed out. And then I'm just going to take my brush and I'm just going to randomly touch the edge and allow some of that paint to bleed out into the paper. Because I just randomly want some of that paint to just seep out, and I just think it looks very like paint splattered and interesting like that. I'm going to add some darker green on the body here as well, just so it gives it more of an outline. So I want to leave that to dry now, but I'm going to go ahead and add some splatters around the edges because I love adding splatters. I'm going to try and stick to the same colours that I've used within my butterfly. So I'm going to take some light blue, and all I do is just load my brush up with the paint and make it quite watery. So I dip my paintbrush into the water once again, and then I will just tap on the back of my paintbrush. And the bigger the paintbrush you use, the bigger the splatters are going to be. So if you want small splatters, use a small paintbrush. If you want large splatters, use a larger paintbrush. But I do like to have a variety of different colours and different sizes within my splatters. So for the small details, I'm going to be using my size 2 Winsor & Newton Professional watercolor brush, and I love this. It is sable hair, it's really nice quality, and it gets a very nice small point. So I want to start off with mixing a dark turquoise colour. So I think I'm going to take this blue. So I'm going to add green to this, and this is this green here. It is Viridian Hue. So I'm going to mix this up to make this gorgeous dark green. I wanted this bit in the middle to be slightly darker than what it is now, but I want it to be quite patchy because I love that blue colour. I love the green colour underneath as well. I just think it looks really interesting. I'm actually taking a little bit of that and I'm mixing it with a bit of Payne's Grey because I want it to be a little bit darker, just so I can add a slightly darker hint on the very edge here. So I'm just going to edge that wing with this blue colour, but I want it to be a little bit jagged and a little bit not even. I want to kind of bring some of that colour down so it's not so uniform. I'm also going to take a little bit on the edge like that. I'm also going to use it to outline this wing as well. So I want this edge here to be quite dark, so I'm just going to pop some really dark blue onto that edge there. I'm also going to add a little bit of pink there just to blend that edge. I'm also going to take some dark blue onto this, just the very edge of this wing here, and up like I did with the other wing, and I'm pretty much just going to randomly draw some very thin lines to represent veins on the butterfly's wings. And this doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want them to be completely straight. The veins on butterflies' wings are not completely straight anyway, and I want them to be quite faint as well, so that we can see all those gorgeous bright colours, and the gorgeous bright colours of the butterfly are what's more prominent and standing out the most. You could always find a real picture of a butterfly and just change the colours, which is what I did with my last picture of a butterfly. I just found a brown butterfly and then I completely changed all the colours and made it nice and bright and pink. So I'm hardly putting any pressure at all onto this paintbrush so that I get a nice thin line. I'm also holding it kind of in the middle or towards the end so that I'm not putting lots of pressure on the end of the paintbrush. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on the antenna. So again, I'm using my size 2 sable brush and I'm just going to draw 2 very thin lines coming off the top of the butterfly's head, and then I'm going to put 2 little rounded things on the end of the antennae. And there you have it, my butterfly is complete. I hope you like how your butterfly turned out, and I hope you can come back to my channel and follow along with my next tutorial. I love this type of painting. I love expressive watercolours. So come back and see more, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!